legendary Dwayne Michael Carter Jr. He's the winner of 5 Grammy Awards and the founder of Young Money Entertainment. Let's not forget he's also a survivor of a point-blank gunshot wound to the chest. This guy was a child prodigy, getting his first fat paycheck at only 14 years old. I mean, you gotta be on some other shit to achieve that. I'm still waiting on mine. He even wrote his own rap song at only 9 years old. Anyways, enough of all that. Let's get into how he really became Lil Wayne. Dwayne's life began on September 27, 1982, in New Orleans, Louisiana. His mom, Jacita Carter, had him when she was only 19 years old. After his parents getting divorced when he was only 2 years old, he had to continue to live with his mom, who was a cook at the time. Fast forward to his mid-elementary school years, Dwayne was already getting noticed by the owner of Cash Money Records, Brian Williams, by 1991. Because of this early fame, Dwayne wasn't exactly safe in school, so even though he was actually considered to be a pretty gifted student, his mom just decided to have him drop out after she caught him bringing a handgun to school at only 14 years old, and instead of going to high school, just got his GED instead. This paved the way for major success for Dwayne, as he had more time to focus on music. Dwayne didn't exactly grow up in the best living conditions. He was raised in Holly Grove, one of the poorest neighborhoods in New Orleans. After his biological father walked out on them, he grew really close to his stepfather, Rabbit. A couple years down the line, Dwayne and his mother suffered a challenging loss when Rabbit was murdered when Dwayne was only 5 years old. And later on in life, he gets a tattoo in memory of him. Losing Rabbit had such a negative effect on Dwayne. Having no father figure in his life made Dwayne hate his biological father even more than he already did. He even mentioned in an interview that he dropped the D from his name because he's a junior.
I dropped the D because I'm a junior and my father is living and he's not in my life and he's never been in my life. So I don't want to be Dwayne. I'd rather be Wayne.
He didn't want to have his father's name, and walking out on him wasn't his only reason for hating him. Wayne's father was abusive to his mother, and even though he was completely available, he chose to live with his new wife instead. People like him are exactly where the stereotypes come from. By the age of 5, gun violence had already taken its toll on the young Lil Wayne. Struggling with some depression in his youth, he actually attempted to commit suicide because his mother banned him from rapping as a punishment after skipping school. At 12 years old, as mentioned earlier, he shot himself in the chest at point-blank range with a 9mm handgun. Luckily, an off-duty police officer by the name of Robert Hubler came just in time to save his life.
Dedication 3. Count it. 1, 2, 3. I think about more than I forget, but I don't go.
Let's get into more detail about how he actually became famous though. Like I briefly mentioned earlier, he started rapping at the age of 8, and I'm not going to say that this is unheard of, but some very important people in the industry find this very hard to ignore. It all started when he met the American rapper and record producer Birdman in 1991. Birdman was also the co-founder of Cash Money Records, so I'm sure you can only guess what happened next. Impressed by the young Wayne who recorded freestyle raps, Birdman became his mentor and of course signed him to Cash Money Records. Eventually the two started sharing this father-son like bonding, with Birdman often referring to Wayne as his son. Some time passes and now Wayne in his early teenage years, he joined the hip-hop duo the BGs and started making music with the rapper Lil Doogie. Together they wrote and released the rap duo's debut album True Story, dropping on July 29th, 1995. This also marks the first collaboration album between Lil Wayne and Cash Money Records. Birdman guided Wayne and encouraged his love for hip-hop. This made his passion for rap even deeper. The two made headlines in the media when Birdman kissed Lil Wayne on the lips. Birdman's response to this was of course he thinks of Lil Wayne as his son and he would do it again. It's 1997 and Lil Wayne just became the newest and the youngest member of the Hot Boys. When he joined the Hot Boys with Juvenile, BG, and Turk, he was only 14 years old. They dropped their debut album Get It How You Live. It didn't do no crazy numbers, but things didn't really start to heat up until they dropped their second studio album Guerrilla Warfare, released on July 27, 1999 and reaching number 1 on the Billboard Top R&B and Hip Hop album chart and reaching number 5 on Billboard 200, giving the hardworking rap group their first pretty big break.
Say, dawg, what kind of nigga be on top of the world? $1 million status got me on top of your girl. Daddy, what kind of nigga be bout nothing but wall?
In 1999, and Wayne at only 17 years old came back with his debut solo album The Block Is Hot.
The block is hot, the cops are swarming the neighborhood. Heavy, while they on in the neighborhood. selling.
It dropped on November 2nd, reaching number 3 on Billboard 200. The album went absolutely insane, turning out to be Lil Wayne's first ever platinum album. The crazy fame and success was followed by even more hits. Not only did that propel him into international fame, but also plant his pretty dominant position among other artists. Later in 1999, Source magazine nominated him for the Best New Artist. At this point in his career, I'm sure Lil Wayne already knew he'd be at the top of the world in no time. His next two albums, Lights Out that dropped in 2000 and 500 Degrees that dropped in 2002, both went gold. So they're not exactly the block is hot status, but I think we can all agree to say that they did pretty damn good. It was hard to say for sure at the time, but people had their speculations that 500 Degrees was a diss track on the artist Juvenile. The reason being, Juvenile's previous album was titled 400 Degrees.
Oh, you don't wanna play with me, hater, cause a player might play with that K and leave your head on the floor. Weezy don't debate with a hater, let my hate.
The details on the beef wasn't exactly common knowledge, but it surfaced when Juvenile responded with a diss track on his album titled 600 Degrees that was released in 2002. In one of the songs, Juvenile goes as far as to question Lil Wayne's sexuality, also dissing him by claiming he's a fake gangster. Wayne never responded to this one, and I honestly think he made the right choice. He outlived this guy by a landslide in the rap game anyways. In 2004, Wayne dropped his 4th studio album, The Carter. This one made another really big breakthrough in his career. As usual, he got a lot of recognition, but this time was just different. His fans started noticing a change, a lyrical pivot, something dramatic. His ability to rap just seemed so enhanced. Tracks like Go DJ, I Miss My Dogs, and Who Wanna, and pretty much every other damn song on the album just had fans in awe. The cover art to this album was also the introduction to the now iconic Lil Wayne dreadlock look. The sheer hype of this one was clearly reflected when the album hit number 5 on the Billboard 200 charts and selling 116,000 copies in a single week. In 2005, Lil Wayne became the president of Cash Money, and that same year he founded the record label Young Money Entertainment, which still to this day are one of the top record labels out there. Wayne definitely knows something we don't. He discovered some of the best talent in the world, like Drake and Nicki Minaj. Moving on to his 5th studio album, the sequel to The Carter 2, which was released December 6, 2005. This one, against all odds, somehow managed to surpass the original, debuting at number 2 on the Billboard 200 chart and selling over 238,000 copies in the first week. Ain't that some shit?
I'm saying, next to hit your mans in the head with this one. I'ma paint the city red with
Carter
this
2
one.
received a gold certification on January 18, 2006. Then on March 23rd, it went platinum. Now, if your mind's already blown, you better prepare yourself for this one, because the 3rd installment of The Carter is said to be his most successful album of all time. The Carter 3 was released on June 10th, 2008, and let me just tell you from now, this is when shit starts to get crazy. The album easily tops the Billboard Hot 100 chart, and by February 12, 2009, the album already went triple platinum. And no, we aren't done yet. It won him the Grammy Award for the Best Rap Album of 2009, Best Rap Solo Performance, A Milli, and he also won the award for the Best Rap Song, Lollipop. And you probably thought that was it, huh? But we still got more awards coming. Him, T.I., Jay-Z, and Kanye West all won the award for the Best Rap Performance by a duo or a group, and by the end of 2008 he was named the first MTV Man of the Year.
And thank you.
Fast forward to 2014, the 5th installment of the Carter series, Carter 5, had major issues when being delayed twice. On December 4th, only 5 days before the album was set to release again, Lil Wayne released a statement stating that the album would not be released on its set date, and this was because of all the issues he was having with the Cash Money boss, Birdman. It was said he was refusing to release the album even though it was fully finalized. Wayne made it abundantly clear about how he and his creativity were being held prisoner. He was very vocal about this when he made a mixtape dissing Birdman several times. Birdman was pissed. This is when they started being on bad terms. In late January of 2015, Lil Wayne sued Birdman for $51 million. Me personally, if you ever sue me for that much bread, don't speak to me ever again. However, that wasn't the case for this quote-unquote father and son. They somehow managed to reconcile at Drake's NYE party in 2016. Back onto the topic of his albums, there's so many other notable albums we haven't even mentioned yet. We got Rebirth of 2010, The Carter 4 of 2011, and Free Weezy that dropped in 2015. Over the years, he's collaborated with countless artists and featured on numerous singles. He also indulged in a little bit of acting. He had a role in Baller Blocking in the year 2000, Wild 'N Out in 2005, The Boondocks in 2007, and Hurricane Season in 2009, and a few others.
I like D. Now these what I want. Yeah. No. I need 12 of them. 12.
Let's move on to something a little more personal. Wayne, like a lot of other hip-hop artists, struggled with legal issues, and his tendency for having problems with other artists in the industry never really helped him. He's had a lot of issues with the IRS, with child support, and taxes. Making millions of dollars and being the father of 4 children with different women isn't exactly the ideal situation. He had his first child at only 16 years old in 1998 with his high school sweetheart, Toya Johnson. They ended up getting married in 2004, but only 2 years later they got a divorce, and 2 years after that, Lil Wayne got involved with a radio broadcaster named Sarah Vivian and had his second child with her named Dwayne Carter III. He had the next kid named Cameron with the actor Lauren London, and his fourth and final son with the singer Navia. He also got involved with a couple other celebrity females such as Christina Milian, Trina, and Letitia Thomas, even getting engaged to her at one point. And now he's been involved with another girl named Denise Bedat since 2020. Moral of the story, this guy gets hoes. Moving on. Lil Wayne's luxurious lifestyle is something most people can only dream of. I mean, he's got countless houses, a mansion in Miami worth over 14 million, and a total net worth of over 150 million. And that's just according to Google. I'm sure it's much more than that. Another interesting fact that most people don't know about Lil Wayne is he actually has his own cannabis brand. It's named G.O.A.T, Ultra Premium. So if you want to get high like Wheezy, cop. And no, I'm not sponsored by them. Let's get into his health a little bit. Wayne's been struggling with epilepsy since a jit and has actually had several seizures. On October 25th, 2012, his private jet had to make an emergency landing, and he was immediately hospitalized because of a seizure. At the time when word first came out that he may be epileptic, his publicist refused and said he was only being treated for a severe migraine and dehydration. Fans were speculating whether or not the claims were true, but it became obvious when there had to be another emergency landing the very next day for the exact same reason. Later on, he admitted to being on medication for epilepsy after these incidents. On March 14, 2013, TMZ reported Lil Wayne being hospitalized once again after suffering a seizure while on set recording for a music video. And allegedly for the most recent seizures, they weren't caused by epilepsy but instead high doses of codeine. Even though Birdman dismissed these claims, everyone's still skeptical about whether or not this was drug induced. As mentioned earlier, Lil Wayne's dealt with a lot of legal issues. If you took the time to Google some of his lawsuits, there is countless results. They range from music lawsuits to gun charges. In 2007, he was arrested for the possession of a .40 caliber pistol, and even though his lawyer said it didn't belong to him, they went through a DNA test just to prove he was guilty. After this, Wayne pleaded guilty in an attempt for a shorter sentence, and in 2009, after several delays, he was finally sentenced to 1 year in prison for possession of a loaded weapon. I don't understand this government sometimes. Why is it illegal for famous people to protect themselves when they're always in danger? Clearly, the gun charges and prison time changed absolutely nothing, because in December 2019, the Miami-Dade police and FBI agents found a loaded gold-plated handgun in his luggage. Because of his previous criminal record, Lil Wayne's now completely prohibited from possessing a firearm and faces as much as 10 years in prison if he's convicted of one. Ever since his release, Wayne's been giving the media all sorts of snippets about his incarceration. In 2016, he went into pretty deep detail, even revealing a collection of his prison diaries. The book was about Wayne trying to cope with the rules and his restricted freedom. One of the lines in the diary, Wayne wrote, "I'm eating Oreos and drinking grape Kool-Aid as I write this right now. Because of the sheer boredom and misery, that's the kind of shit that becomes worth writing." Now, despite his long history with guns and problems with Juvenile, Jay-Z, Young Buck, Pusha T, and a bunch of other people, Lil Wayne is still known and respected as one of the greatest rappers of all time, and even prides himself as the hardest working man in show business. This work ethic you could compare to Kobe Bryant ain't something everybody got. You gotta have that dog in you for real, and it's obviously what got him where he is today. Lil Wayne officially retired from rap in 2016, and he went out by telling the fans he loves them, just like he does at the end of every single performance. In this interview, Drake told Rap Radar he wanted to be just as important as Lil Wayne when he first started out.
I think when I first started out, I just wanted to be just as important as Lil Wayne, because I felt like nobody was ever going to be as big as Lil Wayne.
That alone goes to show how much of a GOAT this man really was, and how much of an impact he had on the industry. Drake himself said he's the GOAT. Lil Baby, Kendrick Lamar, and Chance the Rapper all said the exact same thing. Not trying to start a debate or anything, but when you're the GOAT, longevity plays a huge role. So even from a non-biased standpoint, do the math. Lil Wayne's literally been in the game for 30 years, and that's a feat no one else has ever been able to achieve, and I don't think anybody else ever will. Anyways, that's all I got for Lil Wayne. Let me know who y'all want me to cover next, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Artist out. Peace.
I'ma bring you real dizzy like a minstrel. Please, to the pit, so